What's going on, family? Welcome to Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. We are on the weekly off-season live stream, which is going down on Thursdays. I want to thank you guys for being a part, whoever's going to join. We're doing this weekly during the off-season. It's me, just me. Maybe I'll start having some guests. But we're going to do this once a week during the off-season since we don't have games to do live streams after. So the time's going to be a little bit fluid and flexible. So I started today at this time just because that's what works. But we'll check on times and how that goes down. But we're gonna get into the conversation. We're gonna go to the chat, interact. We're gonna do all that. But first, we got to cut that beautiful intro.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bulls news and content.
All right, people. So we've had a nice little bit of news actually since it's this early in the offseason. A Bulls target and Robert Covington re-signed. We know that Zach LaVine is going to be getting a scope surgery on his knee, which is not too serious. Outline on the return time for that is 4 to 6 weeks, which has been everything for the Chicago Bulls lately. Still no updates on Lonzo Ball or anything like that. But, for where we are in the offseason, it's been a pretty interesting couple of days for news from the Chicago Bulls. We had that dumbass trade from Jay Williams, which I eviscerated him on. We got the Portland rumors, which was nothing serious either. But yeah, that's where we are right now. Let's go ahead and get into the comments. We got Amit in the building. Amit B in the building, who says, "What's up, bro?" And then he goes on to say, "Bro, we got to do something about this bench." Yeah, listen, AK and Eversley got to address the bench. I'm not even worried about that. Once Zach LaVine signs on the dotted line, and the Bulls front office is getting to work. That's why I really do think, and I expect this Zach LaVine thing to not last maybe past a couple of days of free agency. And the reason why is because Zach knows if he comes back to this team needs to improve that bench, and they have to sign him first. They're like, re-signing Zach LaVine has to be the first thing to happen before they do that, because if you were happen to walk, it completely changed what AK and Eversley are going to do in the offseason. So Zach LaVine knows that, and I do think that the decision on the Zach LaVine contract is going to be made within 1 to 2 days of free agency starting, and then after that, AK and Eversley are going to get to work. And I mean, it really may start at the draft. We may see them pull something off with that 18th pick, packaging Coby and Troy Brown Jr. for something, a solid bench player. We don't know. I said Troy Brown Jr. I meant Tony Bradley. But we'll see. We'll see what they do. But AK and Eversley are definitely going to improve the bench. I'm not even worried about that. I don't worry about that at all. Let's go see what else we got. Shay in the building. Shay says, "What's up? What's going on, brother Shay?" Notification games, hit the like button. We got Jamal in the building. What's going on, Jamal? Dantavius. I said that right. Please let me know if I said that right, because I don't like murdering people. At least this is the first time I remember you. Thank you for being here. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. What's going on, brother? It also leaves this, like, I do believe in second chances, but for Coby White, I don't know what to do. Listen, with Coby, like I've said this before, it's either one or two. Well, there's 3 different ways that this is going to go. They're going to move him this offseason. They're going to move him at the trade deadline, or they improved. Keep in mind, I went over Coby stats. This, like, the December, January and February, Coby was balling, and he fell off in March like the rest of the team, and he didn't have a solid playoffs. But they may improve the bench enough with the trade player exception, with veteran minimum deals, with the mid-level exception, to where they look at what Coby was able to do and say, hey, maybe with an improved bench, Coby can be better. Maybe Coby improves some, or maybe we can weather better when Coby has these off nights. So, Coby may be here, he may not. One thing that we may see as well, like what they did with Lauri Markkanen, and this is something I haven't talked about before, is that the Bulls knew Lauri was unhappy here. The Bulls knew that they probably were going to move on from Lauri, but they waited until Lauri was a free agent, and they used that to work themselves into a signing trade. We may see Coby White stay on the roster all of next season, not with the intent of the Bulls keeping him long term, but waiting, letting the market set its value, because it may happen to where Coby has another bad season and there is no value for Coby, and you kind of just let him walk. Or it may be a team sees the potential that Coby still has and says, hey, no, we're going to sign Coby, and then the Bulls can say, hey, we can make the signing a little bit easier for you. We got his bird rights. You can keep those with the sign and trade. They do some stuff like that. So there's a lot of different ways that it can go with Coby. Armand Khan says, "What up, Haize? Appreciate all the content you've been putting out lately, man. Thank you, bro. I'm almost back to what I was doing before I got sick. Like my content dropped off, but happened when I was on my deathbed. And so because of that, the content dropped off. And then I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with the off season. I wanted to have a plan. So doing these player reviews, it's really going to lead up to almost the end of the season. The end of the bull season's ended, but almost into the finals. And then at that point, around there is when I'm going to start doing my draft prospects. I already started compiling my list of draft prospects, getting my notes on these guys, and yeah, that's what we're going to do. So I mean, listen, I'm really I told you guys. I told when people were asking when the season was starting to wind down, they were like, "Well, what are you going to do in the offseason? What's the offseason content going to be?" It's going to be that type of thing. I got some interviews planned for next week where we're just going to do some general Bulls talk with the people I'm interviewing. I got one really big interview that's coming on next week, and then I got one of my fellas coming on, one of my guys who's actually 808s and Heartbreaks. He's the host of Madhouse on Madison. He was on during the season as well. I got him coming on next week as well. So we got the content. The content isn't the issue. Yes, sir. Love this channel for real, bro. Hard work, and I appreciate that, fam. Tim Brazil's in the building. What's going on, Tim? Jay Williams dumb as fuck for real, man. I was mad as fuck. Listen, it's just but that just goes to show why the mainstream media is looking for they're looking for content just like everybody else, and because they have more cachet, so to say, that they can make up dumbass shit like that and not get called out for. Because let me or freaking Pat or somebody like that or the Bulls show. Shout out to Aiden the Bulls show, by the way, one of my favorite Bulls content creators. Like, let us had done a trade like that. Motherfuckers would have unsubscribed to us so goddamn quick. But ESPN doesn't have to worry about that. What's going on, Haize? Young Stingray in the building. What's up, fam? JDH, my brother from another mother's in here. What's going on, brother? Yes, this is something that I've been. Armand Khan says, if Mark Williams is available at 18, are you taking him? Or no, that's a pick you keep. Because I've said it before. While I don't think that Mark Williams gives us everything that we need from a backup center right now, like I think even if the Bulls do draft him, they still need to sign a more veteran big man. But long term, like I said, he's going to have that Taj Gibson type role in Taj Gibson's rookie season where Taj got like between 8 and 12 minutes. But then the growth. He has an NBA ready body. He has a defensive skill set that you can see being solid right now. He's going to have some foul trouble like most big men do, but the upside to Mark Williams is crazy. The only worry that I have with Mark Williams is that he's going to go into the draft combine and shine, and then he's going to go from being like, because right now he's slated to go anywhere between, I think like the highest I've seen him, I believe, is like 16th, and the lowest I've seen him is like 22nd. But with a solid draft combine, especially with the showing that he had in the tournament, he can go up and watch him maybe like Cam Johnson. Maybe he'll get drafted with that 14th pick, that last lottery pick. They look at him and say, hey, we see enough in this kid. We're going to draft him with this late lottery pick. So we'll see. We'll see. Tim Brazil asked for percentage chance. Right now, I'm saying it's about 50-50. I'm saying it's about 50-50 because there's a couple of different options if they do keep it that they can go with it. One, they can draft somebody outright. They can do a draft and stash player, or they can trade it. And because of that, I think that evens out to about being 50-50 chance of them keeping it. Mike Wells in the building says, I saw an article about Kyle Kuzma. Not really into all the fake trades talks, but I thought it was interesting. Yeah, listen, there's going to be a lot of fake trade talks right now. There's going to be a lot of articles. Hold on, y'all. I got a father real quick. Alan! Oh, I did not. Sorry, had a parent real quick. I know that first yell was in y'all ears. I apologize for that. My son was upstairs tripping, so I had to check him real quick. Coby in the building says, what up, Haize, man? I can't wait till next season. I'm already bored. I'm not, because I'm like, there's so much that this team can do in the offseason. I'm not really bored quite yet, but I get what you're getting at. Amit B says, just hoping next season going to be good, man. Bro, I was in tears after our second home playoff loss. Hit different, dog. The last 4 games at home for the Bulls. They had those last 2 games at home during the regular season. Then we had those 2 playoff games at home. Listen, that was embarrassing. The Bulls need to protect home. One of the things that I want to see this, you remember when the Bulls teams, even the scrappy teams, the teams that used to go 41-41, like they were teams that people used to still hate to come in the United Center because the Bulls team protected home court. I want to see that come back for sure. Want to see that come back. Tim Brazil, Marco eligible for some? Yeah, he'll be a second-year player. He's definitely eligible for second year. I think they're technically eligible for summer league up until their 4th season, but most of the time they don't accept the assignment of that. There's very rarely that they, but yeah, he'll be eligible for summer league next season. I hope he does pop up in summer league with some more bulk and we see that elite skill set that he has. Amit says, bro, do you think D-Rose coming back will help us? I'm still dreaming. Right now, with Io and Alex Caruso being both point guards, I don't see it happening because Derrick Rose is on the same contract as Alex Caruso. So it's not heavy money, but it's not light money either. I don't see them taking that level of money in for Derrick Rose. Now, again, I've always speculated that because Alex Caruso and Derrick Rose signed basically the same exact contract, that there was probably a little bit of conversation on Derrick Rose coming back here, but I think that ship has sailed for now. Let's see if it opens back up, but we'll see. We need to start a stupid idiot end of the year award or all team stupid idiot LOL. Yeah, that's funny. That's funny. Dan Tavius asks, do you prefer we keep our pick or trade it? It depends on who's there. If somebody like EJ Liddell, somebody like Mark Williams is there, there's a couple of other people I'm looking at. If there's somebody there that the upside that they can contribute now and have, that's the key thing with this Bulls team. It's not going to be somebody who's just a straight prospect that can't contribute right now. If they can get somebody who has an either defensive skill set or elite offensive skill set that can contribute some now but still has room to grow, keep it at that point. But there's not that many people who bring that in this draft at the 18th pick, but we'll see. That crazy 3-way Laker Knicks trade. I saw Petty about it. Petty, hello. Listen, Petty wrote, when Petty comes out, it's very selective when Petty Roosevelt comes out. And that was a time, like literally when I watched it, I was like, the fervor that came from my spirit, I was like, yeah, this is gonna be a Petty Roosevelt video. Haize, what happened to the Warriors last night? That was a game. Like, that was crazy that they got blown out in that way. I think that they were paid off. That's one of those games that is like, hey, listen, I'm a conspiracy theorist, right? You guys know that by now, who's been watching me for a while. But like, come on now. Come on, man. There's something to that. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna leave it at that. Julia Jules in the building. She says, hey, Haize, hey, chat. What's going on? Y'all better say hi to Julia. What's going on, Julia? Is this a good idea? This from Malachi Grayson. Is this a good idea? Should the Bulls push Coby to make consistent 3-pointers for next season? And if he doesn't improve, trade him. No. I mean, you should push him to be the best player. Like, he's a scorer. Coby White is a scorer, right? He's not just a 3-point shooter. He's a scorer. And part of that is like part of the fact that he was kind of just used out there to shoot did hurt him some, but that's not an excuse. Let me be clear. I'm not giving that any excuse. Coby White's season was Coby White's season, and he holds as much accountability for that as anybody else. But Coby is a scorer, so they should be pushing Coby to be the best version of that. We saw him when Coby was on in February. We saw it. We saw passing from Coby. We saw good weak side defense from Coby. We saw Coby putting the ball on the floor, starting to hit a little bit of floaters, getting to the cup a little bit more, shooting that 3-ball very well. We saw all of those things. That's when Coby's at his best. Coby is not just a shooter. If you try to make Coby just a shooter, that's when that streakiness is going to come bite you in the ass. And if he tries to just be a shooter as well. So Coby needs to be a scorer next season. They need to put him in the best position to score if he's on this team and if they are still invested in his development. That's what needs to happen. See what else we got. Haize, how high of a pick do you think Coby? That's the thing. If you trade Coby right now, you almost have to package him with something else. Because Coby straight up for a pick right now, I don't see getting you anything higher than the 25th pick. That's just my opinion. I don't see it. I don't see it for Coby right now. I mean, but let's be clear. We've seen weirder things happen because, like with Nico, we got was that a lottery pick we got for Nico when we traded for a first round pick or right outside the lottery? If a team sees Coby and believes in his development hugely, if they see him as the piece, if they're like a rebuilding team and they just want as many bites as the apples as they can get, and they say, hey, we can give Coby 28 minutes and he can shoot as much, and we can see if he's going to turn into the scorer, the starter that some people think he can be. Maybe they do give up a between 17 and 25 pick. something like that. What's up, son? Yeah. All right. Coby needs to perform well on offense. If Coby did step up, he would have had a chance beating. We would have had a chance beating the Bucks. No, we still wouldn't have had a chance beating the Bucks. It's that you can't just rest that on Coby. This team played terrible after the first two games. They played terrible on defense. They shot the ball terribly overall as a team. Once Zach went down as well, there's nothing that just Coby playing better could have made us win. And Caruso being hobbled and things like that, I don't think that we could have won that easily. Now, if everybody was healthy, minus Lonzo, like I'm saying, if everybody that we had that was available, minus Lonzo, because Lonzo was going to be out, was healthy. Because keep in mind, Caruso was shooting the ball terribly. His wrist was never all the way healed at that point in time. That changes some things. But just Coby, no, that doesn't change. That doesn't change much. Let's see. Shay in the building. What do you got, Shay? What do you think about us drafting Walker Kessler if he's available? Shay, look, why do you keep doing this? I have clearly stated we're going to do more draft content once the finals ends. Why do you keep doing this to me? Why do you keep trying to get into my content before I'm getting into the content, Shay? Can I create the content? No, let me stop fucking with you. I've taken a look at him. I will say this, that I don't know if he has the immediate skill set that can contribute some now that I am personally looking for if the Chicago Bulls do keep that pick. That's my personal opinion. Again, this front office could have a completely different mindset. They pay people who are supposed to be a lot smarter than me to make these decisions, but I will say that I do like him in the draft. I just don't know for what this team needs right now, if they're trying to put the best team out to compete for a title right now, if he's the pick or if they'll trade it at that point. Mike Wells asked a great question. What are you looking forward to the most in this? How they improve this bench? That's what I'm looking forward to most this offseason is how they improve this bench. How creative does AK get? Because keep in mind, like what he did with Laurie. Laurie was all but gone. We knew Laurie didn't want to be here, but they still were able to turn it into a sign and trade. When you look at Derrick Jones Jr., I don't expect Derrick Jones Jr. to be back, but I think what he can get on the open market is more than the Bulls are going to be willing to pay right now. But can the Bulls then turn that into a sign and trade? Troy Brown Jr., again, another unrestricted free agent, 22 years old. Again, another player that somebody may see some potential in and say, hey, we want to sign that. Maybe a rebuilding team, maybe a team that doesn't have playoff aspirations. They want to take some time to take a look at Troy Brown Jr. Can the Bulls then turn that into a sign and trade? What are they going to do with their trade player exception? What are they going to do in the draft? What are they going to do with the mid-level exception? Are they going to split that mid-level exception to use between a couple of different players, which they can do? People don't really realize that as well. You can split that mid-level exception money between two different players. You just have that level of exception to build up to. What do they do? That's going to be the most interesting thing. I don't expect the big deals, the Vooch trades, things like that. I don't expect that to happen. The biggest trade that I probably think would happen this offseason for the Bulls is a Coby White trade. I don't see them moving Vooch. Not to say that they won't if the right deal presents itself. I just don't see it. But I'm excited to see how they improve that bench. Really excited to see how they improve that bench. And no, Kofi is not it. Listen, Kofi isn't even slated to be drafted in most mocks. Kofi has some upside, but Kofi is going. He may end up like Taco Fall. Kofi is not the pick, not at 18. If the Bulls had a second round pick, maybe the Bulls, because he's slated not to be drafted, maybe they sign him as an undrafted free agent and throw him in the G League. But that's really it. Kofi is not going to be the pick. He's not happening. He'll be there. He'll be available, but they're not drafting Kofi. Not happening. Future, no. Listen, and this is the thing that, and this isn't Chi-Town Javier. Shout out to you, brother. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. But here's the thing that I want to point out is that while people are so focused on bringing somebody in that does what Vooch doesn't, that they forget how hard it's going to make the things when you bring in a player like Vooch. Gobert is great defensively, but look at how he even hurt the Jazz. For a team that's main scorer, at least this past season, does not shoot the three ball frequently, bringing in Gobert is going to completely jack up the Bulls' floor spacing. It's going to eliminate some of the space that DeMar DeRozan can get to work in. It's going to make the Bulls more easier to guard. I love Rudy Gobert. If we had a different 3, if we had a different 4 next to him that all can space the floor, maybe. Rudy Gobert is not going to be what the Bulls do. And the Jazz have even said those trades rumors aren't coming from them. I'm guaranteeing right here, Rudy Gobert is not going to be. And if the Bulls did trade for Rudy Gobert, I guarantee you most Bulls fans who are calling for Rudy Gobert to be traded, they probably don't know basketball enough to realize how it's going to hurt the team on the floor. But I guarantee you by midway through the season, they'll be like, why are we so easy to guard? Why are teams double teaming DeMar so easily? What happened from last year? Did DeMar regress? No, it's because you brought in a player that brings nothing offensively. It's going to ruin the way that this Bulls team runs basketball. So no, Rudy Gobert is not the answer. He's not a future Bull, not at all. Do you think Zach considers taking a slight discount on? No, I don't think so. I don't even think that the Bulls are even going to request that. Like I said, the only thing that I can see the Bulls doing, and they may not, by AK's words of saying that the knee is not going to affect his unrestricted free agency, but the only thing that I can see the Bulls doing is putting, like they did with Lonzo, some injury provisions in the contract, meaning that, yes, it's a max level contract, but hey, if you only play 40 games in the next 2 seasons, guess what, brother? You're going to be a couple million short, right? That's the only thing that I can see them doing. Only thing. Chi-Town, Javier, let me tell you where you're wrong at on this. If they keep in mind, if the Bulls trade for a second round pick because of the tampering, the next second round pick that we have available, we have to forfeit. So AK technically can right now trade for a second round pick, but guess what? When the Bulls are on the clock, it's going to say Bulls can't draft here. They forfeited that pick. So that doesn't help at all either. Young Stingray 03 says, next season, are we going to see Dosunmu becoming more of a dangerous in the preseason game, or we don't know about that yet? I think that we're going to see, we're definitely going to see Ayo Dosunmu's offensive game come around some. I think people forget that Ayo Dosunmu was a scorer in college, a big-time scorer for college basketball. Some people may look at it and say 16.7 points per game isn't big. In college, that's major. Hold on, let me send this text. But Ayo has the ability to hit the floater. He has the ability to hit the three. He has the ability to shoot in the mid-range. He's flashed all this in college. Now, not every college skill translates to NBA skill, but I think we're going to see next season Ayo with that defense get more comfortable, and we're going to see more of that scoring mindset from him, which would make him very dangerous. Very dangerous. Bro, why are people complaining? This from Mike Wells. Bro, why are people complaining about giving Zach the max but are willing to pay Rudy Gobert? Because people, listen, it's always for fans. We either overvalue our own players or we undervalue them. Because Zach legitimately has some defensive issues, has some basketball IQ issues, has some ball handling issues, has some crunch time decision-making issues, which I guess also goes to basketball IQ. People are tired of. Like, people have seen years of that, and I understand them being tired of it and thinking, hey, because I've seen this is not realizing that every player has flaws. There's not there's like 5 players in the NBA at any given time in any era that are perfect players damn near. And people legitimately think, hey, because you're not that perfect player, why should you get a max level contract? Not realizing somebody like Tobias Harris is getting a max level contract, and Zach LaVine is a better player than Tobias Harris. So, yeah, he's going to get paid. He's going to get paid. What team would offer Zach the max? Well, keep in mind, the max is different for them than it is for the Bulls. Portland would have to clear Nurkic and Anthony Simmons and renounce, I think it was another player, to really clear enough cap space for Zach LaVine. Now, do they renounce Anthony? Like, do they make Anthony Simmons an unrestricted free agent, or however you say his name? Do they make him unrestricted free agent to sign Zach LaVine? I don't know if they do that. Orlando can clear all the cap space. I'm telling you right now, Zach LaVine isn't going to Orlando. That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen at all. Letting Zach walk is stupid. Y'all be getting on me, but that's just me. A 50%. Listen, anybody who says Anybody, and I don't care who I offend with this, anybody who with a straight face says the Bulls should just let Zach LaVine walk are idiots. Don't have a basketball conversation with them. Don't give them your energy. They're goddamn idiots. Period. Anybody who says that their basketball IQ needs to be in question, hell, their livelihood needs to be in question. You need to question their ancestors. You need to do a bunch of shit. Anybody who with a straight ass face looks at you and says the Bulls should let Zach LaVine walk, not a sign and trade, not nothing else, just let him walk. They're idiots. They're not worth your time. Seriously, they're not worth. They're not worth the Similac their mama bought for them when they were babies. Anybody who says that just ignore them, don't have basketball conversations, is not worth it, is going to frustrate you because they're idiots. That's what I got to say on that one. I don't care who I offended on that one. Don't give a damn if I offended you. See what else we got. Exactly. And Zach LaVine's max to start off is $36.4 million. So what you talking about? Tim Brazil said, bro, chill, but you right though. Listen, man, one thing I know is basketball, right? And I don't even say that to be cocky. I don't say that to say that I know basketball more. Well, I know basketball better than people who think that the Bulls should let Zach LaVine walk. But I live, breathe basketball. Like I will watch 5 bums on the street play basketball if they're playing good enough. Well, I guess 10 bums, literally homeless people. Put them in street ball. If they're playing good enough, I'll watch it because I love the game of basketball and I pay attention. Some people don't do that. Some people don't do that. Isaiah says, shit, they deserve to be offended. Hey, some people do deserve to be offended. You're not wrong with that. How long do you think Billy Donovan will be the Bulls head coach? He seems too passive. This is what I'll say. They're gonna they're never gonna fire Billy Donovan this season. They're still paying Jim Boylan because of them cutting his contract early. Unless a coach signs with another team, you still have to pay them their full contract. So that financially, they were never going to cut Billy Donovan. But if the Bulls have another season down the stretch like they did this season, you kind of have to fire Billy Donovan at that point. He'll be 1 year left on his contract. You kind of have to. That's just regardless of how I feel about him as a coach, regardless of how I feel about him and his X's and O's or his adjustments. If the team finishes as bad as they did this season for a second year in a row, you got to fire. You got to. And one thing that I'll say that a lot of Bulls fans aren't going to like to hear either is that I don't think they should go after a big name. I think they should go after a young coach that they can see developing into the next great coach. And I always compare it to this. When the Heat made Eric Spoelstra their head coach, nobody outside the Heat's organization knew who the fuck Eric Spoelstra was. He started off as being a video guy for the Miami Heat. He literally worked himself up. Now, they're not going to have as much time to work somebody up through the organization like that. But I would want to see the Bulls sign a young coach that maybe nobody knows, but they look at it and say, that's the next head coach of the future. That's the next great head coach that years from now, people are going to look back and say, damn, do you remember when the Bulls made such and such their head coach? That was crazy, right? Now look at him. 5 years later, he's one of the best coaches in the NBA. That's what I want to see the Chicago Bulls do. That's what I think they're going to do. I think AK and Eversley are going to want to put their stamp on whoever is the next coach, and they're going to do something like that. What is happening here? How the hell did I get signed out of all my damn accounts? Nonetheless, we'll worry about that. But yeah, so that's what I think that the Bulls do. That's my personal opinion. Like I said, I know a lot of Bulls fans, especially casual ones, just want to see the Bulls sign the next big name head coach, but I don't think that's the way that it's going to go. I don't think that's the way that it should go either. That's just my personal opinion, for whatever that's worth. Demond says, I'm agreeing with you, Haize. Appreciate that. Matt says, do you ever feel like a broken record on the Zach LaVine and Kofi? Yeah, you remember at one point, for anybody who's been around for a while, there was one point in the middle of the season where I literally just had to tell people, but leading up to the trade deadline, I'm not responding. I'm not commenting. Anything to do with trades, I'm just not talking about. I'm not talking about any trade shit. It's gonna get to that point in this offseason. Absolutely, especially now with me doing weekly lives where I'm literally gonna be like, listen, if you're talking about Zach LaVine's contract, I'm not talking about it. He's signing the max. If you're talking about Kofi, I'm definitely not talking about that. He's not coming to the Chicago Bulls, at least not with the 18th pick. And leave it at that. Hey, bro, why did the Bulls fire Tibbs? Because it was late? Yes, absolutely. And because Tibbs is one of those people that rally the team like it's us versus the front office. And Garpax didn't like that. That was one of the times where they put emotions before business, period. And I mean, Tibbs is one of those coaches that I think he has a finite amount of time with any team before you kind of got to shut it down. But hey, it is what it is. You never be afraid to speak your shit. Listen, that's one thing people got to understand. Period. People got to understand with coming here, I'm not one of those channels where I'm going to kiss nobody's ass for subs. If you say something stupid and I think it's stupid, I'm going to say I feel like it's a dumbass comment. If you try to come at me, Petty Roosevelt's coming at it. And listen, I don't lose flaming battles. I don't. I'm going to flame your ass. And I don't give a damn how people feel about it. Am I going to cuss? I'm absolutely going to cuss on this motherfucker. That's what this is. That's what Chicago Bull Central is. I'm not as calm, cool, and collected as Jamal over on Bull Central. I'm even crazier than Matt Peck over on CHGO. Because if you say something stupid, I'm going to call you out on it because it's dumb. And a lot of people don't like that. They want to live in their glass bubble where they think, oh, but this is basketball conversation. It ain't worked on 2K. I don't give a fuck if it worked on 2K. Live in real life. What the fuck you talking about? And listen, people who bring 2K comments to this motherfucker, listen, you getting flamed the fucking shit out of you. Like, don't bring no, it worked in 2K. You know how many motherfuckers before like this channel actually kind of got bigger? People will say, oh, well, I put such and such on the team in 2K and I went 10-0, so the Bulls should make that trade. You sound like a fucking dummy. Really? This is what you're talking about? Yeah, no, we don't do that here at Chicago Bulls Central. We don't do that. We don't do that. What? See, stuff like this. Hypothetically, if Zach leaves, no, James Harden does. Okay, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's have a real conversation. So if Zach LaVine leaves, that $36.4 million that we would assign him don't translate into free cap space with the way that the NBA salary cap works. So no, we wouldn't have the money to go after James Harden. And why the fuck would we want to go after James Harden? So no, that's not going to be a target. It's not. If the one thing that I've said this before, if Zach LaVine does leave, we're in so much of a better place than what we were, for example, when Jimmy Butler left. We're in a considerably better place than what we were when Jimmy Butler left. So it's not going to take as long of a time to rebuild. So I don't think they go and swing for something like that, crazy like that. I think that they be really consistent and thoughtful in what they do. James Harden, come on, man. You my dude. Hey, saw a little petty there. LOL. I be trying. I really be trying not to let petty come out. I really be trying. Damon says, would you look at Mo Bamba as an option? I mean, at this point, almost anybody who's a big, who has some defensive skill is an option. I think it boils down to what the money is. I think you would still need a player and a veteran better than Mo Bamba. I don't think that he can be your defensive big that you need wholeheartedly, but I think he's somebody who you can take a look at for sure. Like I said, especially depending on the money. And I don't foresee Mo Bamba demanding like big time money. He could, right? Because there could be a team that, again, everything boils down to if a team sees the potential in a player. If there's a team that sees big time potential in a player like Mo Bamba, I can see a team offer Mo Bamba $8-9 million a year. I don't think the Bulls should pay that for him. But kind of is what it is. It could be wrong there as well. I'm crazy. Everybody is not liking this Harden. I love it when we can come together on hating something, right? Not to hate on the guy who presented it, but to hate on the idea of a player. No, we don't need Harden. We don't need Harden. Ain't enough strippers in Chicago for Harden. Wow. You know what? I'm going to actually disagree with the mid B here. We've been agreeing pretty much all night. Harrison Barnes, depending on the money, no, I like Harrison Barnes because Harrison Barnes, what he's going to need, Harrison Barnes is solid defensively. I looked at him heavily at the trade deadline. His defensive advanced analytics, now that doesn't mean everything, right? I'm not saying that's the end all be all, but that's kind of a good way, a barometer to see how a player plays within the confines of a team, right? is pretty solid. His offensive analytics are solid. It depends on the money. I wouldn't mind a player like Harrison Barnes coming off the bench. You still need an actual big man, but Harrison Barnes can definitely be one of those players that are more consistent, right? That can get you about 9 points every game, can hit an open three in the corner, stuff like that. I don't hate on. I'm not completely against the idea of Harrison Barnes at all. Brandon Peck in the building. What's going on, Brandon? Reginald Short says Stacey King talked about Jackson Haize, but I didn't watch the Pelicans. Is he good? What would it cost to get him? Jackson Haize is solid. I think so if the Bulls have their mid-level exception is $10.1 million. I think if Jackson Haize is the target, it's probably going to take almost all of that. Now, does he bring you enough? Does he bring you enough to where you're comfortable giving him that between $8 and $10 million a year for Jackson Haize? That's the question that needs to be answered. I do, like if that's what he's requesting, it makes it a little bit more difficult. I'm not saying he should be the Bulls' first target, but I do like Jackson Haize as a player, especially come off the bench. Definitely. Well, Ty, why would you? Okay, you want Damian Lillard? He's not even available. What? What you smoking, bro? Like, what are you smoking? In what world do the Bulls get Dame Lillard? In what world? He's not available. They're not. I'm just gonna move on because I'm gonna pop a fucking gasket. I'm gonna move on. Jonathan Washington Jr. says, wait, went to the wrong one. Says, Haize, what do you think about TJ Warren no, I wouldn't. TJ Warren has been out of basketball for 2 years. TJ Warren would literally be the last player that after you fix everything else on the bench and you say, hey, we got a spot open, TJ Warren can give you some. Let's see how he looks. Let's give him a non-guaranteed deal. TJ Warren is not going to be a big-time free agent because he's been out of basketball for 2 years. I'd rather go after PJ Tucker before TJ Warren. But yeah. Chi-Town Javier says, leaves a super chat, says, Vooch, Coby for Jokic Portal. What do you think, Haize? Listen, again, this goes back to what I've said before. Giving up Jakob Porto, he brings more offensively than Gobert for sure. He's a very solid player, but I would look at as Porto as bringing him in as a backup more so than replacing Vooch with him. But if that's the deal, let's say that the Bulls did make that deal. How would I feel about that deal? It depends on what else they do with the roster, what else they do with it. Because I'm not hating it. Not hating it. But I got to see what else they do with it before I really can say how I feel about it. Dame Lillard, come on, man. CJ the Truth says, I would say Haize is a little better than Daniel Gafford. I would say that's probably a fair comparison. That's why I did say that it'll probably take all of that that mid-level, that $10 million mid-level exception to get him, because that's around the money that Daniel Gafford is on. So yeah, I agree with you there. We're in line there. I agree with you there. This is true. That's why I took my idea out of it and just said if the Bulls did that deal, how would I feel about it? Because yeah, I'm trying to bring in Porto in a way that doesn't involve Vooch, but that's why I changed it and just said if the Bulls did that deal, how would I feel about it? Regardless of how I felt, if the Bulls did that deal, it would depend on what else they do around the rest of the team. What do you think about Anthony Davis? I think that that Anthony Davis in the Chicago winter, his legs would shatter like Mr. Glass and we'll never see him again. So no, keep him far away from my team. Reginald Short. PJ as a player option. Would Maxey be a good fit if he became I would love as a backup, again, not as replacing Vooch, but as like an outright signing, I would love Maxey Kleber on this team. Love it. Love it. Love him coming off the bench for the Bulls. Love the idea of that. Vooch is much better than people are giving him credit for. How many third options put on? And people forget that too. Like not only the 17 and 10, I think he actually averaged 17 and 11 this season, but the fact that he's a 3-level scorer. Now, worst 3-point shooting year of his career, damn near. Since he's been a volume 3-point shooter. But his skill set is just, it's not easily replaceable at all. Jonathan Washington Jr., another one who supports, says, I think Vooch is going to ball next year. Very possible. Brandon L. Jet coming through. And thank you for supporting the channel at this level, brother, with the $50 super chat. Shout out to Haize and to the chat. Thank you. Listen, Brandon L. Jet be holding it down, man. Brandon L. Jet be holding it the fuck down. People don't want to consider Vooch stepping back to number 1 to number 3 guy, similar to Bosh in Miami and Love in Cleveland. Yeah, I mean it's definitely an adjustment. I think people forget that, and then also there were times where Vooch was balling in the first half, and then they just did not go to him in the second half. Right? That's not just on Vooch. So keep that in mind. That's all I'm going to say. I'm just going to say keep that in mind. Big T in the building says Vooch has offense. It's pick and roll defense he struggles on. Yes, but he was a much better pick and roll defender when he had a communicator out there like Lonzo Ball with him. So that's why roster construction is as a whole is important. It's because you're never gonna. It's like I said, there's very few players ever that are great in everything that they do on the floor. That's a generational talent. Players are always going to have holes. That's why the way that front offices build teams, that's why advanced analytics has become such a good thing, because if you see somebody in the advanced analytics has an issue, you then put somebody on the court with them that is stronger in that in that area, and that's how you build and construct a fully functioning roster. So this whole thing of like just going in and saying, hey, this is somebody who does these things that Vooch doesn't do, let's just replace Vooch with that, it's not necessarily going to work when you look at the construction of the rest of the team. Shiretown Javier says, have you seen Musa Diabate from? No, I have not. But if that's somebody you think I should look at for the draft report, I can definitely look at it. That's a hell of a name, though, right there. That's a hell of a name. That's a hell of a name. That's for damn sure. Let's go ahead and move on. Dub Bulls in the building says, hey Haize, I miss these chats. Brandon L. Jet is still killing my work schedule. Is crazy. How can we get Miles Bridges? By prayer, bro. That's the only way, because I don't see that happening. I really don't see that happening. Everybody keeps going to this. TJ Warren has not. I've never seen somebody be out of basketball for 2 years and people think that they're the answer. Like, did we not see that how long it took Derrick Rose to get back when he was out of basketball for basically back-to-back seasons outside of a few games? And TJ Warren being a much older player and it being his foot, like that's not just something you just overcome. All of a sudden, it's very similar actually to damn it, who's the player? The Bulls traded for a player and he was here for and people thought that he may give him. I don't remember off the top of my head, but that's not something that's easily overcome. Like, I don't know, like that's not going to be somebody that I key in very early on in free agency. After I fix my main holes, if TJ Warren's still there and we work him out and he looks pretty good in the workout, I may say, oh, okay, let's take a look at it. But not as somebody who, like, I'm setting out my offseason to be like, hey, our second biggest target is TJ Warren, a player who hasn't played for 2 years because of injury. Not doing that. Haize, will we get Billy Donovan? Everybody's getting graded. AK and Eversley are getting graded. Everybody's getting graded. It's happening. Everybody's getting graded. Everybody is covered. But yeah, Billy Donovan's getting a grade too. Come on now. I got to grade Billy Donovan. Billy's getting a grade. AK Eversley getting a grade. Who all do I still have left, like main players in the Bulls? So I've done Lonzo, I've done Zach, I've done DeMar, I've done Vooch at this point. So I haven't done Patrick Williams. I've done AK. I'm not AK. I've done Alex Caruso. I did IO. I did Coby today. So really, I got Patrick Williams and a bunch of bums off the bench to review. So be on the lookout. A lot of the bench players are going to do all at once. So be on the lookout for that. That would be a great video to do. Best single season Bulls in the history of the franchise. Because I think it has to be Nate Robinson, right? People will only play for the team for one season. I think that's easily Nate Robinson. How far are the Bulls from compete? They are a great or solid bench away, and us not having a complete fall off like we did after the month of February. That's where we are. That's where we are, in my opinion. All right, y'all. I got to end the stream soon. I was only supposed to go for 30 minutes, but you guys get me to talking. Would you mind bringing back Chandler Hutchinson? Fuck yeah, I mind bringing back Chandler Hutchinson. Keep that. The best thing that Chandler Hutchinson has is his hairline. That's it. That is it. That's it. Did you do Javonte? Yes, Javonte Green was actually one of the first Bulls players that I did. So yeah, I've done Javonte Green as well. But all right, y'all. Thank you for joining so much. I appreciate you guys, especially for a random live. Like I said before, you guys can catch this. This is now going to be every Thursday. Now, the time may change. It may be later in the evening, which will allow you guys to get home from work and settle more. It will never be earlier than this. This is probably the earliest I'll ever start the stream. But every Thursday during the off season, until the preseason starts, you're going to be getting this stream. I appreciate you guys so much, man. Make sure you vote. Let's do this officially. Hold on. Let me see, because I like to run it officially because we're official here at Chicago Bulls Central. Make sure you're following the podcast at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, bullcentralpod@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text and a voicemail for our mailbag episode, which I believe tomorrow is the mailbag episode, got to check the schedule. You can do that at 773-270-2799. I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to be healthy and glad to be with you guys. I appreciate you guys so much. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. If you didn't like the video, hit that like button on the way out. I will see you lovely and beautiful people on a pre-recorded video tomorrow. But other than that, see red, don't be red. Go Bulls. Love you guys. Peace, y'all. Peace.